What's up, guys? Dr. Seth back to help you with your powerlifter problems. So, we are talking about ankles today. And when we are powerlifters talking about ankles, most lifters are worried about their ability to have toes come up relative to the shin, to let knees go forward relative to the toes so that they can get more knee flexion, more quads into their squat. And that is a very, very valid concern, and that is something very, very important for a raw powerlifter. But what we got to remember is that, yes, the ankle does, dorsiflex, yes, it does plantar flex, yes, it does go up and down like that. But when we're talking about the ankle, we also got to think that there is lateral motion also associated with the ankle, and that can become very, 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 very important for two reasons. Number one is that if we lack control in the lateral range, if we lack control of side to side motion at the foot, we can then perceive more threat, and we can then be neurologically limited in how far that ankle is allowed to bend. So if we do lack control in that side to side motion, the brain is going to down regulate our ability to go knee forward, and then we might not be able to express as much forward knee travel on our squat just because we don't have control of that side to side. Now, the second reason why that side to side can become very important in producing ankle range, in terms of producing knee forward travel, is we're going to use Google Images to help us out here just to better explain how the joints work. So we got tibia, which is our big old shin bone that's going to be like sitting on top of the talus, which is going to be sitting on top of the navicular, sitting on top of the calcaneus, and the motion associated with the talotibial joint, so the joint between the big shin bone and the first ankle bone, is mostly going to be front to back hinging. There's going to be a little bit of side to side there. Now, underneath that talus is going to be the navicular, is going to be the calcaneus, and with those guys, that is where we're going to see a lot of the side to side motion at the ankle. And the neat things that happen when that ankle is able to roll in, when we are able to have a little bit of arch collapse, what ends up happening is that the navicular drops, the calcaneus rolls in, and the orientation of the talus is going to change with it. And like if we look at kind of like the idea of like an arch flattening out, like this is just a diagram of comparing like a flat foot to a normal foot, we can kind of visualize how that when the foot flattens out, the talus is going to kind of like roll forward, tip forward. And if ankle range, the ability to dorsiflex plantar flex, happens at the talotibial joint, if the position of the talus bone changes, that is going to then change where the tibia can go on top of it. So if we do allow the foot to flatten out a little bit, if we do allow some degree of roll in, that can then allow us to access more dorsiflexion. That can allow us to have the knee travel further forward. And that can allow us to get more quad into our squat. That can potentially allow us to squat deeper. And there's going to be probably a bunch of people going, but Seth, ankle collapse is a bad thing. And I'm not necessarily saying that like you want to have a uncontrollable collapse of the foot. What I am saying is that if you do have control of your arch, if you do have control of foot mechanics, allowing that arch to flatten out as we're looking for more forward knee travel can allow us to access more forward knee travel. And this is actually what I purposefully try to do when I'm squatting and when I am deadlifting, because I have shitty ankles from previous fractures and dislocations, so they don't move super well. So what I end up doing is I am really trying to flatten my arch out to get more forward knee travel so that I can squat better, so that I can deadlift better, so that I can get more quads into both of those movements. And that is where we kind of got to quit thinking like this is position bad, this position good. It's like if we have a strategy where we're able to use this position to our advantage, it can become a very valid strategy if we are prepared to handle it and if we are in control of that motion. It's not just like this flat foot bad, arch foot good, and that's something that I believe for a long time. And I was doing a ton of the foot drills. I went to entirely barefoot shoes, and like a problem I had with that is that with all of that, I was like trying to do shit that was lifting my arch up. I was trying to do shit that was like making my arch as tall as possible. And in doing so, I was also afraid of ever having a flattened foot. In doing so, my arch got super tall, but it also got super stiff in that tall position. And with all of that work, I ended up losing ankle range because I no longer had the ability to flatten out and to control that flattening out. And it actually took a lot of work on the opposite end, being able to reestablish that roll in, being able to reestablish that flatten out in a way that I control so I could actually begin to use it. And when we are, trying to develop this skill, like one of the easiest starting points that we can do is like we can just plant our foot on the floor and we can practice like contracting each side of the shin to roll in, to roll out, back and forth, trying to lift the arch, trying to flatten the arch, trying to lift the arch, trying to flatten the arch, and that will then help us begin to control that motion. And once we do have base control of that, what I like to do then to turn that into our ability to access more ankle flexion is I'll want to elevate the forefoot on something. So like I'll use a yoga block, elevate the forefoot, and then I'll do the same thing where I'm trying to kind of find a bit of a calf stretch, and then I'm going to use the sides of the shin to roll in, to roll out, to let that arch collapse, and then lift that arch up, let it collapse, lift that arch up, and that is going to give us both that lateral control and the ability to begin to flatten out the arch in order to access more forward knee, which is very, very important if you are someone that is structurally limited at the actual talotibial joint like I am. So, guys, think about your ankles, think about how they're moving, think about how we can begin to utilize that side-to-side motion to access more, think about how we can begin to utilize building control over that side-to-side motion to give us more freedom. And I bet if you are to do that, you will find that you can squat better, you will find that you can deadlift better. Now, hopefully you guys got something out of this. Drop a comment below if you have any questions. Let me know what you think. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share it with your friends. Talk shit if you want to, talk shit if you think I'm full of shit, but this will help you squat and deadlift better if you do put deliberate work into controlling lateral motion of your ankles. So give it a shot. And hopefully y'all's training is going good. And if your training isn't going good, hop onto those links below, check out the Activated Performance Training app because there is some good shit in there in terms of both movement prep and powerlifting programs. Peace out. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day.